This video is sponsored by Soesic Clothing. Use code TAMMARO at checkout to save 15% and support the channel. Link in the description. What's up YouTube, and welcome to this 100% achievement / trophy guide for Untitled Goose Game. So in this video we are going to be playing through the entire game except for the speed runs. We will be getting all of the achievements, including the missable ones. I will be covering the speed runs in a separate video that you can find linked in the playlist at the end of this video or down in the description below. But let's get on with this playthrough. So after completing the tutorial, the first section of the game that you'll be in is the garden section, and the first thing that we're going to do is get a missable achievement for luring the gardener outside of his garden and then actually locking him out of it. So what we're going to do is we want to grab this radio here that I'm having a little bit of trouble grabbing in order to get him to actually leave his garden, and as he comes out here, we're going to steal his keys off of him and then just drop them back in his garden. He'll chase you momentarily, but once you drop them, he'll go back after the radio instead, meaning that you'll be able to close the gate on him and lock him out since his keys are inside the garden. Now with that done, I'm going to bring his keys back out to him, but as we go out there, I actually decide that it's time to get him wet as well. So what you can do is you can use the keys to lure him towards the lake, and he'll take like one step into it and get wet, and that checks off one of the things that we need to do to complete this area, and then you can just go ahead and give him his keys back and start working on the picnic that we need to prepare. For the picnic, we need a number of things, but the first 4 of them can be found right at this bench. We need all 4 items here: the apple, the 2 slices of the sandwich, and the actual picnic basket, and we can just go ahead and leave them on the picnic blanket until we go back into his garden to grab more things. Back in his garden, I decided now would actually be a good time to go and grab his rake and put it in the lake. That is another item that we need to cross off of our to-do list, so it just turns out that he is right now distracted with the box that we moved earlier, so I'm just going to grab the rake and bring it over to the lake without any issue at all. Now back to that picnic. We're going to go ahead and grab one of these carrots right here, and then we'll come back into the garden and grab a pumpkin as well. Eventually he'll start digging, which will give you the opportunity to steal his hat. Alternatively, that rose that's in the background there, you can go ahead and rip that out of the ground, which will cause him to bend over as well, and you can steal his hat that way. Now I'm going to try and hide it inside of this wall, although sometimes it doesn't really work, and it's not going to work in this situation, so I'm going to have to revisit this in a moment. But while he's busy dealing with his hat, we can go ahead and grab two more items that we need for our picnic. The first being this can of jelly, and the other being that thermos that I knocked over just a moment ago. It was at this point that I realized that he got his hat back, so it was time to steal that off of him again, and I'm going to hide it better inside of the wall this time. However, if you want a foolproof way to get this done, just go and take it into the lake. If you just drop it in the lake, he won't be able to get it as long as it's far enough away from the land, as he doesn't step into the lake itself. Now, while he's dealing with this, we're going to grab the final part to our picnic, which is going to be the radio, which he put back over here where the thermos and the jelly were. So we're going to pick up this radio, and it will alert him as it starts playing, and he's going to run over to us and actually take it off of us. But because he wants to come over here and get his sun hat, as soon as he picks it up off of us, he's just going to drop it again and continue on his way, and we can pick the radio back up again. Also, you can bring the radio, as I'm going to do, into the lake in order to force it to turn off, since you're basically just breaking it at that point. Now, technically our picnic is all completed, however, there is a missable achievement in which you need to get one of these cabbages over to the picnic as well. Now, you can't actually grab them, so you need to use the game's physics in order to push them around as you walk, and it can be a bit of a pain, as I'm showing right here. I'm not going to make you guys watch my entire struggle here, but basically just make it over to the picnic blanket with all the other items and you will get another missable achievement for setting up the picnic with a cabbage. Back in the garden, we have one last thing that we need to do, and that is to make him hammer his own thumb. So we want to run over to this sign and pull it down so that he's going to put it back up, and then just wait for him to go to hammer it. On his third kind of wind up, you want to go ahead and honk, and that will force him to actually hit himself and then open the gate right next to him so that we can make it into the second area of the game. Now, I know we just entered the second area, but we're actually going to have to head back into the first area where the gardener is. What we're going to do is we're going to take his little gardening shovel, and actually bring it over to the merchant who is selling stuff on the street in the second area, there is a missable achievement in which you need to get somebody who is not in the second area to buy back one of their items from the merchant lady. So we're going to bring his shovel over here to the merchant lady and just drop it down. And she ends up chasing us off with her broom, so I just decided to break her broom at the same time, since that's one of the items that we need to check off of our list. And then we're going to go back and get the keys off of the gardener in order to get him to chase us back to this area. Now, with his keys, he will inevitably catch you, and when he does, just let him pick up his keys, and then once he turns around, you can go ahead and grab his keys off of him again, and continue to lure him over to this area. All you need to do is get him over to the merchant lady, and then you can just drop his keys, and him and her will start arguing. Next up, we're going to swap the little boy's glasses with one of the ones that the merchant is selling. So go ahead and grab a pair off of here while she's distracted, and then head over to the little boy. What we're going to do is we're going to untie his shoes and then honk at him to scare him. This will cause him to try and run and then fall down, and his glasses will fall off. We can then take his glasses, run over to the other pair, grab the other pair, and give them to him instead, and that will be another item off of our checklist. Sadly for this little boy, we're not done making his day the worst ever, so we're going to want to chase him around while honking at him to get him to continue running, and we don't want to force him into the telephone booth, but instead we want to bring him over to the starting area here where there's a puddle. Now we need to untie his shoes again and trip him in this puddle. So once his shoes are untied, you want to go ahead and honk, that'll force him to run, and then as long as he trips kinda sorta in the water, you will get a missable achievement for doing so. With his shoelaces tied up, now we want to chase him into the telephone booth, and once he goes in there, the lady that is inside of the TV shop is going to come out to help him because I guess he calls her from in there. So while that's happening, we want to run over to the merchant shop right over here in the middle of the street, and we want to grab an umbrella. Any of them will do. And what we're going to do is get another missable achievement. What we need to do is bring this umbrella into the TV shop and then actually open it while inside of there. So when you bring it in, you want to then go around to the handle of the umbrella and grab it from the handle. This will cause it to open and unlock your achievement, and then you can go ahead and turn the TVs on so that you are on the TV, which is one of the things that you need to check off of your list. Finally, we are done torturing the boy, or at least we're done for now. Now it's time to torture the merchant keeper, or the shopkeeper, or whatever you want to call her, the merchant lady. So she has now opened up this garage door, and what we're going to do is we're going to grab any item from her little shop here and get her attention so that she actually chases us into the garage. Once we get into the garage, we're going to go ahead and drop the item and then rush out and make sure to pull the little drawstring here in order to close the garage on her and trap her in here. With her trapped, we can easily get another missable achievement, which requires you to just put a bunch of stuff on this little scale until it dings. So just keep on adding tomatoes, or I don't know what the other item is that I'm about to add. I think it's an orange, maybe? I'm pretty sure it's an orange. Go ahead and add just everything as much as you need to until it finally dings, and you will get another missable achievement. One of the final things that we have to do here is just go shopping, which means that we have to get a couple of specific items. Two of them are actually in the trash barrel that I'm going to bring this cart over to, or this basket over to, and the rest will be in this woman's shop. You can go ahead and try and lock her back into the garage to make it easier for you to do your shopping. But either way, she's really not that hard to avoid, so just go ahead and grab the items that I do from where I do, and you should be fine to continue on. With the high street done, I went ahead and reset the area just so that I could start back over here. And now we're going to scare the boy over to the open garage and scare him into it, and then finally lock him into it. This is another missable achievement in this area. There's actually a bunch of them here, but this is the final missable achievement in this area. So go ahead and just get him into the garage and then lock him in there, and your missable achievement will pop. Before entering the third area, we're actually going to head back to the gardener again because there is no escaping us. And if you did not reset, you're going to just want to go and get his hat from the lake or wherever you left it. Since I had reset, his hat was back on his head, so I'm going to grab it off of him. And basically we need to bring this item along with 2 other ones into the third area to do another missable achievement. The next item we're going to grab is in the second area, and it is going to be the toothbrush that we're going to find in the trash barrel. Again, if you didn't reset, then it'll be in the basket or wherever you left it. So just go back and grab the toothbrush and then bring it back to this area. And finally, we need to go and grab a pair of glasses. So I guess you could be a jerk and trip the little boy and steal his glasses, or you can just grab the ones from the merchant lady from her shop. So that's what I'm going to do, and then you can just bring them back to this area. As we make our way into the yards, we're going to want to go to the second neighbor's yard and open that up as well, and then we can come back and start grabbing our different items. Basically what we're doing here is we're going to take each of these items and bring them over to a statue that is in the female's backyard, and what she will start to do is dress up the statue with the various items, and you will get a missable achievement for having her use items that are found outside of this area. You need to use 3 of them. And it's time for another missable achievement. So this one is going to be for catching something that is thrown over the fence. So we're going to grab one of her socks, although you can grab anything that you can fit in your beak and carry without it dragging. And we're going to bring it over to the male neighbor's yard. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that he notices it so that he'll actually come and pick it up. And we want to kind of put it deep into his yard so that he's far away from the fence, and it gives us enough time to get back over to the female's yard. So as he goes to grab it, I'm trying to honk to distract him or slow him down. I don't think that works, but anyways, you should have enough time to get over here and get in position for him to throw it over the fence. If you don't catch it, just keep trying and eventually you will get it. For some reason, this is the only achievement in the game that did not pop for me, but here it is right here for catching an object that is thrown over the fence. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab this soap, and we just want to bring it over to the male neighbor's yard and put it into his little water fountain, and then I'm going to go and hang out by the bell that the female has and wait for the male to start drinking some tea. What we need to do is we need to ring the bell while he's drinking the tea so that he spits his tea out. Now, because of that, they will start arguing, which gives me enough time to get into position just behind this shrub here, and I'm going to wait for the man to sit back down and start reading his newspaper, and then I can steal his slipper off of his foot and put it into his fountain along with the soap. We need to grab a couple more items to put in here. In order to distract them so that we can grab the rest of the items that we need to put in the fountain, I decided to go and grab this vase, and she tried to smash me into the wall, and I had a really hard time here, but I was eventually able to get it. And you're going to bring it over to the male and just drop it in front of him, and he's going to throw it over and break it, and this will cause them to fight again, which is going to distract them long enough for you to go and grab the rest of the items that are in the female's yard that you need to add to the male's fountain. I decided to go back up the stairs at this point to see what the male was doing, and I got here at the perfect time because he decided to start sipping his tea. And what this means is we can actually grab his other slipper, and this will cause him to be barefoot, which is another one of the things that we need to check off. Now it's time to ruin whatever relationship these two still have left. What we're going to do is we are going to move the rose, since the man made it possible for us to do that now, so that it lines up with the female's shrub that looks like a squirrel. And what this is going to allow us to do is to cause the female to accidentally cut off the prize rose, which will cause them to argue again. So we're going to peck at the squirrel shrub in order to get it kind of messy, so that she needs to go and clean it, and she will accidentally mess up and cut off the rose. And in the meantime, I wanted to move this statue out of the way, but I didn't realize that she was right over here, so she noticed me. But basically, we need to get that statue out of the way so that we can pretend to be the statue, and she puts the ribbon on us. But in the meantime, I'm just going to wait for her to come over here and cut this rose. Actually, I guess she left the statue right here for us, so I'll go hide it better anyways, just to be safe. Now she is fixing her little shrub here, and she's going to accidentally snip off his rose right there, and this will cause them to argue again, which is going to allow us to get into place in order to get the ribbon added to us right here. So she's picking up the ribbon, coming right over to us, and she's like, hey, look, it's my statue, and she puts the ribbon right on us. Thank you very much. Now we are done with the gardens, but there's another missable achievement for us to get, and it requires us to go back to the little boy, because once again, there is no escaping this goose. So we're going to head back over to the little boy, and he has a soccer ball with him that we are going to steal and bring it through both of these yards. When you bring it into the man's yard, you're going to want him to notice it, and he will actually throw it over the fence for you because it's not his, so he just assumes that it's hers, I guess. And that is perfect for us because we actually need it over here so that we can continue along with where we are trying to go. After you get it through the fence, you will notice that the ribbon falls off of you, so we are going to have to reset in order to get the ribbon back on us a little bit later. But now what we're trying to do is score a goal with this soccer ball in order to get a missable achievement, like so. After resetting, we just want to make our way through these yards again, and I was having a little bit of trouble getting through his fence. My goodness, get out of my way. Thank you. Anyways, just continue through these yards like we're trying to get through them normally, and we're going to set up a couple of things for ourselves for when we come back here in a few moments. The first thing is that we want to rip down this little desk again so that it creates a ramp for us to escape later on. So go ahead and rip that down, and then we're just going to continue forward for a bit. After coming out of the house, you'll notice this gate just off to our left. Go ahead and open this up. We'll need that for later. And then just continue on like we're going to the pub, which is our fourth area. But we're actually not going to head in yet. Instead, we want to go ahead and grab this empty box, and we're going to bring it back to the neighbors. Once you have it in here and you have it right side up and you're not flipping it around like crazy, you want to hop inside of it and then honk in order to get the male neighbor's attention. Eventually he'll come over here and he'll realize that this isn't his, and he'll throw it over the fence, which will get us another missable achievement. We need the female neighbor to put the ribbon back on us, so we're going to mess up the statue again and make it hidden so that she can't find it, and then take its place so that she puts the ribbon on us. And this time, instead of exiting the yard through the shrubs to the left, we're actually going to go over the desk, the ramp that we made just there, and we're going to run back through the area that we just came from with the box. This pub area is the final area that we need to get into, and this guy is basically a goose bouncer. So we're going to just untie his shoes and head on in. And the first thing that we want to do is head over to these ladies, and because we are wearing the bow, when we do our little performance for them, we're going to get a missable achievement for doing it while wearing the bow. Immediately run over to this old man who is going to be playing darts, and on his third windup, go ahead and honk, which will cause him to break the dartboard. Now we're just going to hang out around him and wait for him to go to sit down. When he goes to sit down, we're going to steal his stool from under him, which will cause him to fall down, and then we can steal his hat off of his head, and that is another missable achievement. Head up to the actual restaurant patio, and up here to the left is going to be a sink with a toy boat in it. Turn on the sink so that the toy boat will start to rise to the top, and I'm just going to go over here and start distracting the lady. And you don't really need to do that unless, of course, she notices you, but I'm pretty much just making a mess, running around, pulling things, yada yada yada, while I wait for the toy boat to rise to the top. What we're going to do with the toy boat is we're going to grab it and we're going to bring it back over to that area that is in between the pub and the neighbors, and along that area is a river with a bridge, and we need to sail the toy boat under the bridge. So that's all we're trying to do here. We need to get the toy boat for that. With another missable achievement out of the way, we're going to head upstream until we get to a staircase, and we're going to be able to walk through the gate that we opened up earlier for ourselves. Back at the entrance to the pub, we need to get past this guy again, so use the same strategy as before, and then we're going to head up to the restaurant patio and start stealing items. We need to steal a salt shaker, a fork, a knife, and a candlestick from up there, so that's what I'm going to do now. With all these items out of reach of the woman, we can go ahead and start setting this table over here. So just bring all the items that we just grabbed from the actual patio over onto this table, and then the final thing that we need is a plate, which is actually located just behind this table up that ramp that you just saw momentarily. After setting this table, we will get another thing on our to-do list, and we will need to wait for the woman to come down and move these yellow boxes in order to reveal some tomatoes. The tomatoes have now been revealed, and with them you're going to want to take one and put it along the pathway here that everybody's walking, and then we're going to go and get the bouncer's attention in order to get him to come over and find the tomato. When we come back over here, we're going to want to hide under the patio again so that he can't catch us and yell at us to get out, and instead puts his attention towards the tomatoes. Once he grabs the tomatoes, he's going to go and put them back in the box with the other tomatoes, but instead what we want to do is we want to get up on the patio and drop a bucket on his head as he goes to put it in the box. As we make our escape from the pub, go ahead and grab a pint glass, and we're going to take this all the way back to that river that is under the bridge there, and we are going to drop the pint glass in, and that is our final thing to do in the pub. At that point, we now need to go and get 5 different flowers. So finish up with this here and just drop it in. There we go. And now let's go get some flowers. So we need to collect 5 of them, and the first one we can actually get from the ladies over here in the pub. If you remember, doing your little dance and stuff actually gets them to throw a flower at you, and you can go ahead and take this over to the central area that is unlocked through all of the kind of in-between bits that attach all of the different areas to each other. Our second flower is going to be the rose that is in the garden. This is the first area of the game, so just head on in here and grab the rose and bring it back over to that basket. Our third flower is going to be just down here in the second area of the game where the merchant is. She actually sells some flowers, so you can go ahead and take one of those and bring it back over to our basket. Head to the third area where the neighbors are, and if you've reset, you're going to have to get the female neighbor to cut the prized rose again. However, if you haven't, you can just grab the prized rose off of the ground if it's still on the ground, and then you can bring it back over to the basket. Our last rose is near the back of the pub. It's actually into the final area. So past the tomatoes, this dumpster should be open now for us to climb on. You can go ahead and open that gate and then just continue on down here, go along the river, and you'll come to like a miniature set of the town that you just came through. And there will be a flower like immediately right here on the left, this yellow flower here. Take it back to your basket. And now with all 5 of them, we will get another achievement, this one for collecting all 5 flowers. Now all we have to do is head back to that little miniature town, and at the end of it is going to be a little church building, and we can actually destroy it, and it will drop a bell for us, which we now need to bring through the entire game backwards, all the way to our home, which is the area before the tutorial, which I didn't show at the beginning of this video, but you should know exactly where you're trying to go. Now, with that said, with the bell in your beak, it will actually make noise as you run, and everybody becomes hostile towards you at this point, and all of your shortcuts will now be closed, so you do have to go through the entire game, and that's what I'm going to be doing here. And with that, you have completed Untitled Goose Game, and you should have every achievement or trophy except for 5 of them. 4 of them will be for the speedruns, and the 5th one is for getting everything else in the game. So if you need any help with the speedruns, like I said at the beginning of the video, link down in the description or right here on screen at the end of the video. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it helped you. If it did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, favorite, all that fun junk. Check down the description, lots of links, awesome things, my Twitter, Instagram, Mixer channel, my other YouTube channel where I do real-life sporting event predictions in games like FIFA and Madden. Keep it there for more achievement/trophy/collectibles guides, more Untitled Goose Game, including those speedruns, and a bunch of other things. Until tomorrow, ta-ra.